Hey everyone, welcome to our July 12th Let's Talk Jackson, where we are going to start discussing Amendment 3. And if you have any questions about, or sorry, not Amendment 3, Amendment 3 is in November. We're going to be discussing Amendment 4 and 5. And if you have any questions about anything that I discuss in this Let's Talk Jackson, please leave a comment. This is going to be primarily about Amendment 4 and 5 and what it entails if you vote for it. There's been a lot of discussion specifically about Amendment 5, but when I was doing my research on this, I became very shocked that there isn't more discussion about Amendment 4. And we'll get into it because Amendment 4 is so much worse, like so much worse than what people are letting it on to believe. It's not just the end of initiative petitions in Missouri, which I'll get into that, but it is so much more. But first, before we get into this discussion, here is a little reminder for everyone. We already passed the registration deadline. The registration deadline is already passed, so you can still register to vote, but you won't be able to vote in this primary election because the deadline for that was July 8th. However, no excuse early voting starts on July 21st. So that means that if you want to do early voting and get in and get out, you can do that on July 21st without having an excuse. But you guys, please, 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 please remember the primary election is August 4th, okay? That is when we get to decide who will become our next Jackson County executive on the Democratic side. This is a very critical race, especially if you want to vote for me to become your next Jackson County executive. So I hope you have your calendars marked on that date, and I hope you tell everyone about my race to become your next Jackson County executive so that we can finally reform and modernize Jackson County government so it finally meets or it finally works for our residents' needs. Now, let's get into this discussion. Amendment 4. So if you actually see how this is written or how the Missouri government is proposing this to be written in our to our populace, they call it like the Missouri Protect Voters, um, like Missouri Protection of Voters, right? But it does everything but protect Missouri voters. The title that I give it after reading the actual uh, constitutional language is stripping away your right to initiative petition. Now, just briefly, an initiative petition is basically a petition where, well, say you want to get something on the ballot, but your representative doesn't want this to be heard on the ballot. But the populace wants this to be a law. What we can do right now in Missouri is we can get that to become a law through initiative petition. So basically, say if we wanted to do something like, what's a good one? Uh, like, like for instance, 2 years ago, eliminate the ban on abortion in Missouri, right? Uh, if our representatives are unable to get it on the ballot through the Missouri state government, people can gather signatures. Um, and once they meet a threshold, they can then force the state to vote on whether or not this should be our law. And right now, the way that our Missouri law is written is if that uh, issue is voted in the affirmative by over a majority of Missouri voters, that becomes the law. In my opinion, that is one of the truest forms of democracy is having the people have an avenue to make laws, right? Even though in the United States we are a representative democracy, we still have functions in place to ensure that the people still have a voice when it comes to certain issues. And the initiative petition is there to protect that. Now, the reason why I labeled Amendment 4 stripping away your rights to initiative petition because that, folks, is exactly what it does. And let's actually get into this. So, Amendment 4 specifically talks about uh, petition signature fraud. Okay. And so they create new criminal penalties for acts that they determine is petition signature fraud. And I basically label this as new criminal penalties for practicing democracy. So you might be asking yourself, Stacey, like what are you doing? What do you mean that these are new criminal penalties for practicing democracy? Well, first off, they first start the provision talking about how they're banning foreign nations and foreign adversaries to have to like monetarily contribute to initiative petitions or ballot measures, right? And the reason why they specifically do this is, like, in my opinion, they want to play into some Missouri voters' xenophobia, because the average person in Missouri, they honestly do not want non-Missouri citizens to have a say in the way that our laws work in Missouri. And so what they do is they're putting this whole petition. Sorry, it's called petition signature fraud. The first thing they talk about is foreign nations and foreign adversaries, because they want people to just read the first part and be like, oh, yeah, that's right. We don't want to have foreign influence in our ballot initiatives. But that's not the whole story. But let's talk about it. So, when it comes to this prong, it basically states that initiative petitions, if you vote yes on this, it's going to change the law to make it illegal for foreign nations and foreign adversaries to basically have some sort of influence in our ballot initiative petitions. And this means that no political action committees in support or opposition to a statewide ballot measure cannot knowingly receive contributions from a foreign adversary or a foreign national. Okay. And so reading this, the I think like a regular person would be like, yeah, that sounds like a good thing. Foreign nations and foreign adversaries. And if you guys don't know what a foreign adversary is, it's basically a country that the United States federal government deems as us not having friendly relationships with. They shouldn't have influence in our races, which, a person would be like, oh, okay, that sounds great, but it continues. It continues. It then talks about the new criminal penalties for petition signers if they commit this petition signature fraud. Okay. Now, for petition signers, it basically, one, it makes it a crime if a petition signer signs their name more than once on an initiative petition, okay? Now, this is massive because if you remember the referendum petition that we did last year in order to save our congressional district from being split into the Missouri First map, there was this huge miscommunication as to which initiative petition, um, not necessarily which initiative petition, but what time was it allowable for us to sign the initiative petition. So some people were actually signing the initiative petitions in two different months, because they thought that the signatures collected early on were essentially invalid. Now, with this change, it basically states that if a person signs the same initiative petition more than once, they are guilty of a criminal act in Missouri, even if it's by accident. Okay, as long as they knowingly do this. Okay, which is huge. Like, this is a huge change. The other huge change is if they sign another name on the petition that is not theirs, they're also guilty of this crime. Uh, Additionally, if a person signs the initiative petition, but they are A, not a Missouri resident, and two, listen to the second part, they're not a registered Missouri voter, okay? They then are guilty of, again, petition signature fraud, right? So that means is so let me back it up for you guys. Remember when the Attorney General, I'm sorry, not the Attorney General, the Secretary of State removed 200,000 people off of the voter rolls in Missouri. And some people who have never moved found out that they weren't registered voters because of this removal of the removal of all these Missouri voters from the rolls. Under this change, if they signed the initiative petition and it was later discovered that at that time they were not a registered voter, not a citizen of Missouri, but not if they were not a registered voter at the time, then they would be guilty of this initiative petition fraud. Or sorry, not initiative, this petition signing fraud, which is crazy. Next, these are the criminal penalties specifically tailored for petition gatherers, aka circulators. So, just for clarification, a petition gatherer slash circulator are the people that you see outside collecting signatures from people. Okay, they're the ones that are like, "Hey, are you a Missouri registered voter? If so, here's the information of this initiative petition. If you want to see this on the ballot, can you sign here?" Right? Those are the petition gatherers. So under Amendment 4, what they want us to vote on, basically, uh, they're going to be liable for a crime if they submit a petition that they have knowledge of a person's name on a petition that did not actually sign the petition. Okay. So if a person signs the petition and for some reason they knew or they have knowledge that the person who signed the petition wasn't the person that actually signed the petition, like the name on the petition, then they'll be guilty of petition signature fraud. The next change is that these petition gatherers will be guilty of petition signature fraud if they cause a voter to sign a petition other than the petition the voter wanted to sign. Now, this is crazy, okay? So what this basically states is, say if you're collecting signatures for, let's say like let's make August 4th bologna sandwich day, right? Say if that was the initiative petition, right? But there was another initiative petition where it's like, let's make August 4th turkey sandwich day. If a person signs the initiative petition for bologna sandwiches, but they meant to sign the turkey sandwich petition, then that petitioner gatherer could be liable under this law for petition signature fraud if they knew about the mistake. Okay, which this creates a huge problem because this is a whole he said, she said type of thing where a person could be like, later on, they could tell the authorities, hey, I signed this, but I didn't mean to sign this, and they knew this, and I still signed it, and I think the petition gatherer broke Missouri law, okay? And then that petition gatherer would then be charged with a criminal crime for petition signature fraud if that happens, okay? Next, a petition gatherer could be guilty of a criminal act if they forge or falsify a signature. Now, this one is already a Missouri law. Like a petition gatherer cannot forge or falsify a signature, but this is just adds on to that. Next, they basically make it a crime if a petition gatherer accepts money or offers money or anything of value for a person to sign the initiative petition. So those are the four big changes. But next, these are the new criminal penalties for petition submitters. Now, for those who are unaware, petition submitters are basically the people that gather the signed petitions from the circulators or the gatherers, okay? They take that stack of petitions and then they give it to the Secretary of State. These are the people that I'm talking about here. Now, what is Amendment 4 going to bring for these people? Well, let me tell you what what we're going to if Amendment 4 is passed, what's going to be a criminal act for petition submitters, okay? They will be liable for a crime, and these are the petition submitters, if they knew or received notice that a petition circulator may have violated the prior laws that we basically went over. So basically, one of the petition gatherers submitted a petition that they had knowledge that a person's name wasn't the real person's name, or a signer signed one petition when they meant to sign another petition, those things, right? So they're going to be so the petition submitters are going to be liable for this crime if they knew or received notice that a petition gatherer slash circulator may have violated this new law, and and if they have knowledge or received notice of this, right? If they still submit those signatures for counting, then they're going to be liable for reckless indifference as to that circulator's compliance. And they will also be criminally liable for petition signature fraud. Let me give you an example of what this means, okay? So let's go back to Amendment 3 in 2024. Remember, we submitted, and I could be wrong, but I believe it was like around 350,000 signatures. Say if when we had the 350,000 signatures, right, a person calls in to the petition submitter and is like, "Hi, my name is Carl, and I think that when I signed this petition, but I didn't mean to sign this petition. I meant to sign another petition, so remove my name from the thing." This means that if this petition submitter, if that petition submitter receives that call, okay, if they submit that petition without doing an investigation or without taking Carl's name out of, you know, the list, essentially. So going through 350,000 signatures to verify that this did not happen. If they don't do that, then the petition submitter will be liable under this law. Like, this is literally a law to criminalize gathering signatures for initiative petitions, okay, or making them essentially impossible to do. And it's not just what we're about to go over, which is the new threshold to make initiative petitions into law in Missouri. This is to literally hold the signer of a petition, the signature gatherer, and the petition submitters criminally liable for acts that they might do on accident, right? And this is completely irresponsible. This is basically going to make it so that a lot of people are going to be fearful of signing petitions or participating in the initiative petition process because they don't want to be essentially charged with a crime, which is really sad. Like, this spits in the face of our democratic process. So the punishment for committing this petition signature fraud, right, is 1 year in jail and slash or up to $1,000 fine, okay, or both. So you can basically be put up to 1 year in jail, and get $1,000 fine for committing this act. But you have to ask yourself the question: okay, a person, let's say a person's charged with petition signature fraud. Who basically files that lawsuit? Who's in charge of essentially penalizing these people? Is it the prosecutor? Is it the DA's office? If you said any of those two, you're wrong. Under Amendment 4, the Attorney General has exclusive criminal jurisdiction. So that means the Attorney General personally is going to come after every person they believe violates this law. Like this this amendment 4 is extremely dangerous. It's going to make it so that the attorney general's office is basically going to go after petition signers, petition gatherers, and petition submitters, and use fear to prevent the petition initiative process from being properly administrated. So this is another reason why to vote no on Amendment 4. Oh, before we go there, before we go to Amendment 5, um, let me go into the more widely known fact about Amendment 4. So, in Amendment 4, if we pass this, the reason why it's going to make initiative petitions impossible to pass, or nearly impossible to pass in Missouri, is because they have a provision in there that states that every single congressional district, the initiative petition process has to pass via majority vote in every single congressional district. In Missouri, we have 8 congressional districts. So this means that if the state of Missouri, uh, like say if they overwhelmingly vote in favor of an initiative petition ballot measure, right? If one congressional district votes no, that means that it won't be passed. And so people actually did um they did studies on this. And so they found that 93% of Missourians could vote yes on a ballot initiative petition. And if 7% of Missourians vote no in one congressional district, so that means their congressional district votes no, then that ballot initiative petition measure won't pass. So it will make essentially it impossible to pass in Missouri. That's the part that's actually being most widely discussed right now. They're not discussing the fact that they're going to increase criminal penalties and liability for petition signers, petition signature gatherers, and petition submitters under Amendment 4. And so we need people to spread the word about this, because they're basically going to inject fear into the initiative petition process, one, and two, they're going to make it impossible for any initiative petition to be able to be passed in Missouri. So this is why it is critical that we, one, educate the people in our circles about why Amendment 4 is terrible for our democratic process, but two, remind them to vote no. So now Amendment 5. Okay, so Amendment 5, when we hear about Amendment 5, what people usually hear first is the Missouri government is trying to label this as Amendment 5, we're going to eliminate the Missouri income tax, right? But my title for this is, let's take away our authority to approve sales tax increases and give it to the Missouri government. Okay, that's essentially what it is. Now, Amendment 5 is basically what it does is it's going to repeal two uh, uh, two constitutional measures in our government, and then replace it with one. And if you give me a second, I'm going to show you which two constitutional um, sections it's actually going to repeal, because I think that this will actually showcase why no one should vote for this. Oh, actually, hold on a second. Give me a second. It's coming up. Hold on a second. Sorry, I really want to show you guys this just to show you how ridiculous this is. Hold on a second. Okay, guys. Please let me know if you can read this. But if you can't, I'm going to read it to you out loud. So, uh, one provision that they're repealing is Section 26. And Section 26 in our current Missouri Constitution states prohibition on new or local sales, use, or other similar transaction based tax not subject to such tax as of January 1st, 2015, in order to prohibit an increase in the tax burden on the citizens of Missouri, state and local sales and use taxes or any other similar transaction based tax shall not be expanded or to impose taxes on any service or transaction that was not subject to sales, use, or similar transaction based tax on January 1st, 2015. So, this specific provision here is the reason why, if we want a sales tax increase in any area in Missouri, it has to be put up to a vote of the people. Um, Amendment 5 wants to repeal this specific constitutional provision to essentially give the Missouri government full authority to raise or lower our sales taxes at any level that they want. So, specifically, uh, in the amendment, they're going to use that power to raise or lower our sales taxes to any level that they want to offset the loss in revenues for the income tax. Okay. Now, hold on a second. We're going to play a little game that I made. Okay. It's Q&A time just to show you how terrible Amendment 5 is. Just to drill it in. It's Q&A. The first question is, what is the percentage of general revenue our Missouri income tax is responsible for? Does anybody have a guess for what that is? Okay, some people think that it's 20%. Some people are saying 30%. Okay, I'm going to tell you what the real percentage is, okay? 2/3. Our Missouri income tax is responsible for 2/3 of our general revenue streams in the Missouri government. So, if we pass this Amendment 5, we're going to essentially have to find a new revenue stream to replace 2/3 of our revenue in the Missouri government. And the way that Amendment 5 is written is the way that they're going to find that money to replace it is through our sales taxes, okay? So this leads us to the next question is what is the lowest estimated sales tax increase we would need we would need to have to offset losses from having no Missouri income tax? Oh, and Aaron, I see you. 55, you're very close. It's 2/3, so it's actually 66%. percent, like, or 67%. Does anybody have any guesses on what the lowest estimated sales tax increase we would need to have to offset the losses from no Missouri income tax? Well, here's the answer. At least 10%. So that means, so like for instance, in the city of Kansas City, depending on what you're purchasing, your income, I mean, the sales taxes right now, depending on what you purchase, could be anywhere from 13 to 15% in Kansas City. Okay. So that means that if we vote and pass Amendment 5, a person living in the city of Kansas City, we might be paying 25, at least 23 to 25% in sales taxes on every single good we purchase here. Okay. And that's at least. This is the minimum that the sales tax has to be raised to. That means that it's actually probably going to be more. I've been telling people this. A lot of people who have followed me for a while, they know my background, that I lived in Asia for approximately 3 years to study Chinese language and cultures. And living in Taiwan, it's a democrat socialist country. And I was joking with people saying that we have a possibility here that we might be paying the same amount of sales taxes that they pay in these socialist countries, but we won't actually be receiving any of the benefits that they have, meaning free healthcare, free education, better public transit, X, Y, and Z. So we might be paying 30, potentially 40% in these sales taxes, but still have the same old, right? So this is why we need to vote no on Amendment 5. Well, let's go to the next question. What percentage of Missourians will experience an increase in overall tax payments? Does anybody know the answer to this question? Let me give you the answer. It is 80%. Okay? 80% of Missourians in Missouri will receive a tax increase. This leads me to, I didn't have a question, like a slide for this, but I'll ask you the question. What is the average increase in taxes that the average Missourian will have, according to statisticians in Missouri? I'll give you the answer to this. $535 on average. Okay. So, what that means is it's not saying, hey, if we pass this, you're going to be paying an extra, in sales taxes, you'll have to pay 535. It's saying, no, whatever you pay in your income taxes right now, add 500 plus dollars to that. That's how much increased taxes you're going to be spending when they increase our sales taxes to offset the revenue lost from not having an income tax in Missouri. The only people that are actually going to receive a tax break from this change is going to be the top 20% of Missourians. So that means if you're not in the income bracket of the top 20% of Missourians, then you are going to have significant increases in costs to your living standards. Remember, this is the Missouri income tax. If you do not pay an income tax, if you do not pay an income tax, aka you did not make income, which applies to a lot of retirees in our area, you do not pay an income tax. So, for a lot of Missourians who do not pay an income tax, they're going to receive a significant increase in their tax burden each year when we increase our sales taxes significantly to offset the revenue loss from this amendment. Vote no. This is only for this Amendment 5 is only there to help the wealthy, the wealthy residents in Missouri. It's not going to be a benefit for Missouri, for the average Missourians. Do not be fooled. And please remember to vote in this primary on August 4th, 2026. So I have another screenshot here. It says, "Don't be fooled. Don't be fooled. Vote like on Amendment 4, vote no. Please vote no, because Amendment 4 doesn't just make initiative petitions nearly impossible to pass in Missouri, but it also increases the criminal penalties and criminalizes innocent acts for people participating in the initiative petition process. And we need to prevent that from happening. But also, don't be fooled. Vote no on Amendment 5 as well, because even though it sounds great that it's going to eliminate the Missouri income taxes, they're going to offset the lost revenue streams from the lack of income tax by increasing your sales taxes by at least 10%. So whatever sales tax that you're paying right now, put a 10% on top of that, and that's at least. They could increase it by 15, 20%. We could be paying sales tax between 30 to 40% in Missouri, and we won't be able to stop it. This is really the situation that we're in right now. Say if we vote to pass Amendment 4 and 5 in Missouri, okay? We pass Amendment 4 and 5 in Missouri. 5 years from now, we have a sales tax of 40%. It is crippling us, right? A bunch of people in Missouri are like, you know what? This is terrible. Let's try to revert the law back so that we actually pay, we have the income, like people are paying an income tax, and we're able to lower the sales tax burden in our state, right? And they try to do it via initiative petition, right? They could start arresting people for quote unquote participating in petition signature fraud. But if they get that on the ballot, all the Missouri government has to do is focus their attention on one congressional district in Missouri and make them vote no. And if that one congressional district that only has 7% of the voters in Missouri votes no on that measure, then that means that we're ultimately stuck with these plans, even if the majority of Missourians want it. So don't be fooled, folks. Vote no on Amendment 4 and 5. And if you have any questions, please let me know, because this is the questions and comments section. And I usually have access to this program I have called Chat Ninja, but again, I'm having technical difficulties with this program. But I will take any question, and I'll just read the question on screen and respond to it if you have any questions. I'm gonna look at the comments that were made beforehand. See. So Fawn asks, doesn't the local tax bring in $5 to $7 billion? I actually don't have the information on that, but what I do know is that it's responsible for bringing in 2/3 of the general revenue streams in the Missouri government. Okay, so Stephanie says KC allows a 1% taxation without representation. If you don't live in KC, you can't vote on the tax, but if you work in KC, you're required to pay that tax regardless of not getting to vote. That is true, Stephanie, but this is about Amendment 5, uh, which is completely different from the earnings tax. I mean, and you know this in Missouri. And that's also a good point to raise. In city of Kansas City, we have an additional tax burden here with the 1% earnings tax. And that's not going to go away if you vote yes on Amendment 5. That's still going to be there. And so yeah. Let me look at my other streams really quickly. Okay, a person here basically says, and I'm sorry I can't say your name. It's so he basically asked, so basically they are erroneously claiming people from adversary countries will be able to initiate changes to our laws. Okay, so this is a question about what I was talking about on Amendment 4 with how they are changing they're increasing or expanding the criminality um, of petition signature fraud, right? And one of them was to foreign nations or foreign adversaries. So what I was talking about at the beginning of the stream is I believe that um, when you're looking at the Amendment 4 itself, and let me quickly bring up Amendment 4 really quickly so I can show you what I mean. So give me a second here. Give me a second here. Believe me, it'll be worth it because it's stated very clearly what they're trying to do here. And I think that it's very deceptive because when we look at the summarization of Amendment 4, we really can't get the full story. You have to actually read the text to get the full story. So hold on a second. So here's Amendment 4 that we're going to be voting on uh, this August. So when we're looking at this provision here, so Amendment 4 begins with at the next general election, blah blah blah. So what I mean is the first thing that they talk about when they're talking about increasing the criminal penalties, the first people that they talk about is increasing the criminal penalties for foreign nations or foreign adversaries participation in our initiative petition process. They're basically trying to make it so that um they're not making it so, they're basically stating that foreign nations slash foreign adversaries are essentially banned from providing money or having influence in our petition initiative process. I think that the reason why they first start talking about foreign nations or foreign adversaries, a ban on them participating in our initiative petition process, is because usually people read the first section of documents and they don't then read everything else. And so when they read the first line, oh, it's a ban on, they're going to increase the criminal penalties and ban foreign nations and foreign adversaries from having participation in our ballot initiative process, the average Missourian is going to be like, wow, that's great. Foreign nations and foreign adversaries shouldn't have any influence in our Missouri races, which it goes into a side of like one xenophobia, but two, it's like, yeah, I can understand that like Missourians need to when we're doing the initiative petition process, it should be like in my opinion, like a 100% Missourian led effort, right? But that's not the main reason why they have this in here. It isn't for us to ban foreign influence in our initiative petition process. It is for basically, let me go to this. Yeah, for these sections here, which these sections are basically the sections that are increasing or that are making new criminal penalties for petition signers, petition signature gatherers, and petition submitters in Missouri to make it not only harder for petition signers, signature gatherers, and petition submitters to do their job, but also to put fear in the process that there's a chance that you might be served with a criminal crime for essentially doing something that you initially thought that was lawful. And the example that I put up was how the Secretary of State this year took off 200,000 Missourians from the registration rolls, right? And so we had a lot of, like, we had hundreds of thousands of Missourians who were registered voters who were taken off of the Missouri registration rolls. So theoretically, if one of those people signed an initiative petition and submitted it in, they would be guilty of petition signature fraud, and they could be held, or they could be prosecuted by the attorney general, which is a terrible thing to actually think about, because that's basically going to make the whole petition initiative process in Missouri almost impossible to do, because people, one, are going to be fearful of signing petitions because they don't want to catch a case. uh, People who are collecting the signatures of petitions are going to, you're going to have less volunteers because they don't want to be liable for criminal acts. And then the circulators are also, there's going to be less people that actually want to participate in this process because they do not want to get criminal charges pressed against them from the attorney general for doing acts that are seemingly innocent acts. Okay, so I have a question here from Preston Smith, and he says the earnings tax may not go away, but don't the supporters say Amendment 3 will decrease the earnings tax to balance out, or whatever the other tax KCMO could select? Now, to answer your question is I know in the provision in Amendment 5, like in the actual language, it does give the authority to the Missouri state government to essentially increase and decrease sales tax burdens, and also tax burdens in other ways as well. Specifically, I don't know how that will participate in the earnings tax, so I don't know. I'm just going to leave it there. I don't know how it will have an influence on the earnings tax, but I know that if Amendment 5 passes, it's not going to eliminate the earnings tax in Kansas City. So, Jordan Herrera is actually in the chat. Um, and he basically submitted this provision, and I should have stated this at the beginning too, is that yes, it's already illegal in Missouri for foreign nationals to essentially have influence in our elections as well. And so he basically copied and pasted Missouri revised statute 130.179 that basically states that. So, and that brings up a good point that the whole provision in there about foreign nationals or foreign adversaries um, giving money or having some sort of influence in our petition initiative process, it's already illegal in Missouri. So even if we vote uh, no on Amendment 5, foreign nationals and foreign adversaries still will not have any influence in our races. So thank you for bringing that up. I should have brought that up at the top. Fawn states, if they remove signatures illegally, then they should be prosecuted. Yes, I think so too. But that's my fear is that, like, you have, if the attorney general and the secretary of state works hand in hand, they could move specific people from the voter rolls. Like let's take it back to Amendment 3. 2 years ago when we were trying to, or we were successful, but we were lifting the ban on abortion in Missouri. And they could have specifically taken off people's names from the voter rolls that they knew who was gathering signatures or signing this petition, and then later on prosecute them for participating in petition signature fraud. Okay, like this is how crazy Amendment 4 is. Aaron writes, are there any current laws that prevent fraud now? Yes, there are. I don't have them on me, but the thing is when you're signing, so when you're signing an initiative petition, there are regulations you have to follow. Like you have to be a Missouri citizen and you have to be the person who's signing the petition, and the signature gatherer has to sign basically an affidavit. Like the whole signature page is just basically a huge affidavit for the signature gatherer to sign, basically stating that they're a Missouri resident and that they gather these signatures based on the knowledge of the that the people who signed it, that they were the people at the time. Like if a petition gatherer collected false signatures knowingly, there is a criminal penalty for that. But I don't have the information on what statute that is, but I could look that up for next week's Let's Talk Jackson. So thank you so much for that question, because I'll look into that. But yes, it is a criminal penalty. It's basically forging and falsifying records, like governmental records. So it's already illegal to do that, but what they're doing is with Amendment 4 is they're expanding the criminality. So they're expanding the provisions to make it easier to commit petition signature fraud. Fawn writes, that's why it's very important to vote in every election, because if they illegally remove your name, that's proof in itself, because you could have voted if because how could you have voted if you're not registered to vote? Yes, like um I think that there is a motive here in passing Amendment 4 to not only make it nearly impossible for initiative petitions to pass in Missouri, but also to uh, imprison people who want to pass measures through initiative petitions. And this Amendment 4 makes it very, 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 very easy for the Attorney General personally to file charges against petition signers, petition signature gatherers, and petition submitters. File criminal charges against them and send them essentially to prison, since it's not the prosecutor that has a jurisdiction over this, it's the attorney general that has jurisdiction over this. So if a case gets filed on you, it's not going to be, the Kansas City Municipal Court or the Jackson County courthouse that you're going to be in front of. It's going to be the jurisdiction of the attorney general, which is a completely different story. Okay. And so that's why it's so important that we vote no on Amendment 4 and 5. But like, honestly, I didn't know how crazy Amendment 4 was until I read it, because I don't know why more people aren't being vocal about the fact that they're trying to criminalize initiative petitions in itself. And I'm going to repeat the example that I gave beforehand to basically showcase how this law is going to kill initiative petitions in Missouri. And I'm not even talking about people voting on initiative petitions. I'm talking about just getting the initiative petition submitted to count, right? So, like I said before, Amendment 3 in 2024 had over 350,000 signers on that petition. If a person called the person who is going to submit the petitions and is like, hey, I know for a fact that Samantha B she signed the petition, but she didn't mean to sign the petition. You need to take her name off of the petition, or else that's fraud, which anybody can do, right? That person who's about to submit the petitions would be legally, under this new provision in Amendment 4, that person would have to do an investigation, or basically go through all of those pages, find Samantha Bee's name. And if Samantha's Bee name is even there, okay, and remove it, right? And that's going to make it extremely hard. And if they don't do that, then if they don't do that, they just submit the petitions because it's 350,000 signatures, right? And this is the day that it's due, okay? So they're like, you know what? I think this was a false call. We're just going to submit the 350,000 signatures because today's the due date to do that. If they do that, and then the attorney general basically hears about Samantha Bee, she basically states that she was supposed to sign this petition, but she accidentally signed this petition. And then the attorney general looks through the 350,000 signatures and finds Samantha Bee's name there. Then the attorney general can then press charges against the submitter under this act and send that submitter potentially to prison. This is why this is just so crazy. So remember, guys, we need to vote no on 4 and 5, but most importantly, we need to spread the message to our friends, to our family members, to vote no. So please do that, people. A person on my Twitch has a question. It says, they say, sounds like they're trying to deter citizens from initiating laws. That's clear. What are some reasons we want to be able to initiate new laws? So, basically, like I said in the beginning, say if, let me give an example. What's a law that somebody would want to have passed in Missouri? Okay, I actually have a good one, and this is a topical one. And if some of you guys that were in the fight for Jackson County property tax, for Jackson County property owners to receive fair and equitable property valuations, uh, you guys will smile at this. But say if we decided that, hey, we're going to just we're going to, via initiative petition, a new law to put a property tax cap of 15% on residential property increases. So even if the market value of a property raises significantly, the assessor can only raise a person's property values 15% each year. Say they want to do that, but the representative and the other representatives are like, hell no, we're not going to put a cap. Are you crazy? For XYZ reason, we're not going to do that. Well, the person, like in our current system in Missouri, that like the person has another way to make that into real law. It's the initiative petition process. So they can go out, they can collect the required amount of signatures of Missourians, and then force it to be placed on the ballot for Missourians to vote on. And if a majority of Missourians are like, you know what? I do want property tax caps, then guess what? The Constitution of Missouri would be amended, or say if it was a proposition, that specific statute that is about assessing values, like property values for taxation in Missouri, would be amended to include a 15% property tax. That's why initiative petitions are so important, is because it gives the private citizen another avenue to change our laws in Missouri. We don't have to have a representative to place or to make a new law in Missouri. The citizens of Missouri can initiate new laws in Missouri, but it has to be done through the initiative petition process. And that's why I believe that the initiative petition process needs to be protected in Missouri, because it's truly our only pure democratic way to protect um, of the voters' rights to change laws without going through the Missouri state government. Um, okay. And with that said, if I don't have any more questions, I'm going to end this stream. It was very lovely to speak to you guys and to have this presentation. Um, and I'm going to again say, remember everyone, that on August 4th, 2026, we have a special, well, it's not special, it's our primary day, right? And on the primary day, essentially, we are going to be voting for not only the county executive races, but the representative races, the state senate races, and the constitutional amendments. Okay. So it's very critical for you to talk to your family members, talk to your friends about voting in the primary. Historically speaking, only 1/4 of sorry. Yeah, 1/4 of registered voters in Missouri actually vote in primaries. Okay. So it's critical that we actually talk to our friends and family members and encourage them to vote this year in the primary. And I hope that I can earn your vote as your next Jackson County executive. And thank you again for listening to my presentation. And if you have any questions about anything, uh, please let me know. Send me a message on Facebook or Twitch or YouTube, and I will answer it next week. And I hope you guys have a lovely rest of the day. Thank you for joining me on this week's Let's Talk Jackson, and I will see you guys next week. Bye.